Hi members, I want to shoot this video going over one of the literary devices that was used in the Henry Louis Gates Jr. essay in the kitchen that I featured in my advanced assessment that was posted on the page. Okay. Now, while going over one of the answers of that said passage, I used the word metaphor to explain why the answer was what it was. And after doing it, I realized that I should probably make a video going into the literary device of metaphor a bit more. Okay, so we know that he made a metaphor in that essay between the kitchen, the actual physical place of the kitchen, and the kitchen in the back of your neck, which is where your hair is the most nappy. Okay, or the nappiest. Okay, so what I want to do is I wanted to kind of further explain that and how it's used in literature to kind of well, why any literary device is used is to kind of convey uh, the author's words or portray a certain idea or paint a certain picture in the reader's head, right? It's just one of the many devices that you'll see in literature that's used and is common among most authors. Okay, so there are several literary devices, but this is just one of many. Okay, so what I've done is I've written a quote by Marcel Proust. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use that quote to teach metaphor. Now, the metaphor that Proust uses in this is different from the one that Henry Louis Gates uses. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, let me read the quote. It says, "Let us." Oh, sorry, I forgot my quotation mark. Whoops. "Let us be grateful to the people who make us happy. They are charming gardeners who make our souls." Wow, I forgot my S too. Sorry. Souls blossom. Okay, just proofreading my own quote. I shouldn't have to do that. I forgot the S. Okay, now I've told you that this is a metaphor. Now, some of you can see it and some of you can't, right? And I just want to do this to teach the kids one common literary device that's used in literature. So the next time they read something, they'll be able to see that. And it's one of the very first steps in thinking more critically about what you're reading. If you know, if you're consciously aware of the kind of devices that an author is using in any particular text, that's going to give you insight to what the author's saying, uh, which is not at face value, but underneath what you read at face value. There's always a meaning or something that they're kind of trying to convey, right? That's not superficial, it's not at face value. So if you're consciously aware of these devices, it's going to give you a tool in which you can dissect an author's writing to understand it more critically. Okay, so like I said, this is a metaphor. Now, what I've done is I've drawn two blue arrows, right? Now, what a metaphor is, a metaphor always consists of two things. Well, not necessarily two things, but most of the time two things, right? So you're making comparison between two things, and most of the time those things are not necessarily like each other. They're two very different things. Okay, so on one hand we have a gardener. Okay, and we have the people who make you happy. Let's just say people who make you happy, friends and family. Okay, not necessarily in that order. Okay, so we have a comparison that's drawn between these two things. We have friends and family and the gardener, right? So we know what role does a gardener play? The gardener, let's write this in a different color, waters and tends to a garden, quite obviously and simply, right? Now, what do your friends and family do? Okay, they may do a number of different things, but we already know friends and family are the relationships that we have with our friends and family are the things that make our lives worthwhile, right? So we can say the role of friends and family is for support. It can be a number of different things. We can say support, and we can say uh, caregivers. quite honestly. Okay. Now, we have a gardener and we have friends and family. Now, a gardener waters and tends to a garden. Now, your friends and family give you support and they're caregivers. Now, how are these two things similar? At face value, they're not similar at all. They're two completely different things. Maybe a family member or a friend is a gardener, but what does it mean? What does Proust mean when he says that, when he makes that comparison between people who make you happy and gardeners, right? So, and that is in the actions that each of these people or persons do, okay? A gardener tends to and waters the garden with the same attention that your friends and family offer you support and take care of you, right? So the role of a gardener is to water his plants. A role of a family member is to figuratively water you, okay, whoever you are, which is to give you support in a way that a gardener offers support to his garden and his plants. What support is that? Well, by tending to them and watering them and making sure they have a sufficient amount of sunlight. It's the same thing, okay? So this is the metaphor. So we have the people who make us happy, which are family members, and he makes it an explicit connection between gardeners and the people who make you happy. He said that the people who make you happy are charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. Now we also have another comparison there. We say, Proust says that our friends and family are like gardeners, okay? And what else is alike? So what is alike in aside from the gardener and the friends and family? Well, is our life, okay? What does a gardener do? By watering and tending to a garden, what's the result of that? For the thing being tended to is blossom. Okay, what blossoms? Plants and flowers. Blossom. Oh, sorry. Plants and flowers blossom. Okay. Now, friends and family offer you support, give you support, and take care of you. What's the result of that? You as a person, vocabulary is not the same, right? And that's why a metaphor is so effective. You, quite simply, grow. Now, in the same way that a gardener tends to and waters his plants, and then the result of him doing that is plants and flowers blossoming or growing, okay? So it's the same way in which friends and family offer you support and take care of you. The result of that is you growing as a person. So we're also drawing a parallel between a gardener and your friends and family, as well as plants and flowers blossoming and you as a person growing or blossoming as well. Okay, so that's basically what a metaphor is, right? Now, why this is so effective is that what Proust does is he blends this vocabulary together. He chooses his words very carefully in order to evoke a certain feeling or to kind of strengthen that metaphor between a gardener and your friends and the flowers and you, okay, and your soul, okay? Your soul grows or you grow, okay? So, and how he does that is his use of the word blossom, okay? Blossom is particularly indicative of flowers, right? Specifically indicative of flowers. Flowers and plants blossom. Now, we literally do not blossom, but in a figurative way, right? In a way of speaking, our lives can blossom by our experiences being enriched by people or experiences, okay? So we have that connection between the blossom and the gardeners, and then we have our souls here, and the connection of our souls into the people who make us happy, which is this whole thing right here. The people who make us happy would be right here. Okay, right. So this is a lot like what you see in standardized tests. This might look familiar to you, something like this. just another way of putting it. So I need to erase it on that space. Okay. So I said a gardener is to flowers as your family is to blank. Oh, well, I've already said the answer to this is flowers or plants. I can just say plants because they just don't tend to flowers specifically. They tend to all kinds of plants. A gardener is to plants as your family is to, specifically in this example, it says it's family, and it's not specifically said who the people who make us happy are. And I just said friends and family. Now here I'm using friend. I'm using family. I would say. Actually, it would be better to say a person, to use a person in your family, which would be mother. So let's fix that to where it makes more sense. Okay. A gardener is to plants as a mother is to children. Okay. Now, what does this mean? This means a gardener, it has the same role, has the same effect, and the same relationship to plants as a mother will have to her children. And the gardener takes care of the plants and watches the plants grow, just as a mother takes care of her children and watches her children grow. Right? So this is basically how metaphor is used as a literary device to kind of convey a certain kind of meaning or to portray an idea and to link two things that aren't usually linked together to kind of create some kind of relationship between them, or to put the information out there in a poetic way to where the reader can kind of understand the importance of whatever subject, right? Which in this case would be the people who make us happy and being like gardeners that make our souls blossom. Now in Henry Louis Gates Jr.'s essay about the kitchen, it's not as explicit as this. His is more of a hidden metaphor, right? He opens up the story talking about living in West Virginia. Then he talks about the kitchen, being in the kitchen, and how that was a place where his mother did a lot of her friends' hair. Okay. Now, after that, after so many paragraphs talking about that, he then switches to the kitchen, right, very cleverly, which for people of color, that has a specific meaning to us, which is why I chose it for that test. And that is an area in the back of our necks where our hair is the most kinky. And he did that very cleverly. And you can see the theme of that essay is having to do with hair. It's always having to do with hair. He introduces hair at a very early point in the essay, talking about the high comb and his mother's friends coming over to get their hair done in the kitchen, the physical place of the kitchen. And then he kind of transitions into talking about that area of our hair, right? And how the methods that we use as colored people to straighten our hair don't really work on that part of our hair, because that's the most unassimilable part of our hair. That's our African heritage coming up and say, hey, you won't assimilate me, you won't oppress me and try to make me conform to whatever norm that you're trying to adhere to at the time, right? And in that metaphor, that's how Henry Louis Gates Jr. addresses the issue of hair as a representation of something or as a symbol of something greater than just hair. In that specific essay, in that excerpt, what I was getting at the kids being able to understand is that he's talking about hair, and he's talking about how he experienced his mother. An interpretation could be how he experienced his mother trying to straighten out her friend's hair, and that's also an outward representation of them trying to conform and assimilate to a culture or a standard of beauty that has been projected on them. But because of the presence of the kitchen, there's always that inherent intrinsic thing inside of us, our African heritage, that refuses to be assimilated and that cannot ultimately be assimilated. So that's how, in that particular essay, Henry Louis Gates Jr. uses metaphor to convey a meaning of something greater than just what he's talking about using his words, okay? He's getting at something else under that. And that's what a lot of authors use when when you're reading any kind of literature, any piece of literature or text, that's going to be a device, a literary device that they use in order to convey something in somewhat of an implicit way, which is why critical thinking is extremely important. It's extremely important to kind of cultivate and facilitate critical thinking, as it will be tested in the standardized test, the ACT and the SAT, which is going to determine, which is possibly, not possibly, but will determine the rest of your child's life. Okay. So guys, there's the video. I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, leave me a comment in the comment section. If you want to contact me, please feel free to contact me at jeteducate@gmail.com or send me a message through Facebook Messenger. Thanks, guys.